All right, guys, who is with us tonight? There he is. Of course, I turned down the volume to turn the music down and turned everybody's volume down.
What's up, David? How are you, man?
Good, brother, and you?
Good, man. We should have some more folks jumping in from our.
Oh yeah, everybody's always 5 or 10 minutes late. They think the first 5 minutes is going to be fluff.
Dude, that's a nice background. Is that like a soundproof thing?
No, man, it's actually just, see if I can. It's just I ordered them off of Amazon.
What did you say? I think I can't hear you, man. It's all eaten by that wall.
Yeah, no, it's just Amazon. They're like plastic panels. They went up with liquid nail. It was super easy. Yeah, I like us representing Boston here tonight. I'm looking at the side.
Dude, there we go. Look at that shit.
Yeah.
Nice.
It ain't great, but used to be good. It's not so good right now, right?
Yeah, that's a correct statement.
Yeah. Well, listen, my youngest son is 28 now, and probably how long have I been here? About 15 years ago when we lived in Central Florida, and he's like, Tom Brady's the greatest that's ever lived. It's going to be great forever. I'm like, it will not be great forever, man. One of these days, it'll all come to an end. And here we are, so it's always can't go forever. I think I set this up so that people could, hey, Mandy, so that people could just pop in, because last time when we did this last week, I had to keep stopping to click people in. If I give you control of the screen, then I don't have the ability to do it. So trying to get better at these things. There we go. Now people are starting to show up right at 7. So where are you at today, man?
I'm in the office, man. I use this little co-working spot because there's nobody else in Italy, just me. Everybody else is in different places.
Yeah.
But I'm good that way. I like it that way.
Nice.
Yeah.
Here.
So ever since I was like, I don't know, 19, I like being in the office like when everybody leaves. I get a kick out of it. When everybody's like, oh, see you, good night. I'm like, yeah, I'm staying here, man.
Yeah, for me, it's when I get stuff done because, running multiple businesses, you got an hour on this, an hour on that, an hour on something else. And then the rest is helping people and just kind of bouncing around because we have a real big office here. At night is when it gets quiet and I can actually get stuff done.
Yeah, and that's true too.
My days are just absolutely crazy. So, all right, we'll give it another minute or two. Where's everybody from?
You're recording this? Yeah, you're recording this.
It's okay. No one's gonna bite. I don't have my makeup on or my hair done, so you guys are okay. No? Nobody?
Chat. Where y'all from?
Yeah.
See what we got. Do I know
Richmond? All right, we've done a bunch of deals in Richmond. All right. Does everybody here wholesaling? I would imagine. Maybe a couple agents. So, dude, tell me about what were you out there? You were out there for Bigger Pockets, right? Gene.
In US?
Yeah, when you were here last time.
In Vegas? No, it was for EXP. Bigger Pockets we
EXP.
tried to get into. Bigger Pockets was sold out.
Yeah. How was EXP for you guys?
It was good, man. It was interesting. We're trying to learn more about that whole industry, about agents and what do they need. It was actually pretty dope.
I'm doing a Zoom call.
Hey.
Y'all are gonna need to bring mine if you would in here.
I think we gotta mute somebody.
I got it. Yeah. In fact, I'll make you stuff. So EXP, it was pretty good.
Yeah, man, it was cool. It was they've got a really cool thing going on as far as just a company. It was cool to be there just to see how a good company is managed and like how do they motivate the people, because like their stock is way down and people are still motivated even though like everybody's on their stock profit share plan. Everybody's still motivated. So I want to just like see that. But I was there to just like learn the industry, see how see what people want, because we're moving a little bit into that realm too, into serving agents, but slowly, right? We're so focused on wholesalers and we're at like 150 200 leads per day at this point. just on speed to lead, right? Not even the managed customers. And so we're just trying to scale that and having some fun with it. We've got the like huge team of VAs that now like verifies every lead before it goes out.
Really?
And it's just it's turning into like a crazy big operation. It's kind of wild.
That's unbelievable. Unbelievable. All right. Well,
But I'm excited for today because I want to freaking teach people some cool stuff. It looks like people are popping in.
yeah, people are
That's
popping
awesome.
in, and we'll post this. I've got a private group that will. I was trying to do the share thing where you, and that's why I had music playing, because I was trying to figure out how to share. But apparently, there's a group I haven't connected with my Zoom account just yet. So it's always something here. Cool. All right. Well, I don't have a whole lot, and then I'll kick it over to you. I'll go back to. I don't know. Do you have slides, or are you just going to talk? What do you have?
I've got a little framework that I want to take people through.
Sure.
And see where people have the holes in it. That way we can kind of address some issues that actual folks are having.
Cool. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started. So again, my name is David Olds. This is the Real Estate Wholesale Academy. This is one of our master classes, and we're lucky enough every week to be able to bring on someone amazing in this industry. Because here's the one secret that, it took me a long time to realize, was that if you're going to be successful in this business, there are a lot of moving parts. We like to talk about, like, it's like juggling sticks of dynamite every single day. There are so many parts, from lead gen to acquisitions to sales training, because acquisitions training and sales training a little bit different. Then there's dispositions, there's transactions, and just marketing, all the different things that go in there. And it's impossible for you to be good at everything. Like, even the most narcissistic among us have to realize that we can't be good at absolutely everything. So the people that I'm bringing on are the people that we actually use every day in our business. And for me, we clutched and braked. We were very heavy in SMS for a very long time. And I guess I could, let's see here. There we go. So people can see me. So we were very heavy with SMS. Probably about a year ago, we were sending 50 to 70,000 texts a week, right? And that's fine. It can be very targeted in the people that you're trying to talk to. But a couple of issues with SMS or cold calling, right? People are trying to legislate you out, right? People get tired of getting calls, they get tired of getting text messages, and it's really, it's a diminishing return in that, especially right now, anybody here who's doing text messaging as a marketing, it's getting incredibly difficult to send those text messages. To do 50,000 texts a week, you've got to have like 30 platforms on batch or on somebody. And just doing it just got to where, every day we were worrying about, okay, what city are we going to target next? What list are we going to pull? Okay, let's get it skip traced. Now we've got a whole team of VAs that are doing all this clicking. And for us to transition into PPC, we clutch and braked out of SMS and slowly started to add PPC. And, I knew that PPC was the best way for us to scale, right? For us to get bigger, because, I'm not that smart, but I do understand that PPC is like a volume button, right? I can turn it up, I can turn it down. So I went to a buddy of mine that Gene and I both know, Corey Geary, who's super smart, runs a great coaching program, and I do stuff for him, he does stuff for me. So we sat down and I said, Corey, can you teach me how to run my PPC? And he's like, yeah, man, no problem. I remember we were in Phoenix, I think the first time I met you, and we're sitting at a table and we've got both of our computers sitting next to each other. And he's trying to explain to me how to set up something in Google AdWords. And he was a champ for being there and trying to help me. But like, seriously, 8 minutes in, I knew that there was just no way that I could do that, right? Because, again, we're all awesome at something that is not the thing that I am great at. So, luckily that's where I met Gene, and we've been doing PPC with you, man, since I think September of last year. And it's been really, really, really great. So, pretty much, that's kind of where we're at. We can talk more about what our company has done, but, I'd love to introduce Gene and let him jump on here and kind of take control a little bit, because he's going to do a presentation on what PPC is, how to make it work, all all of that kind of stuff. So, but dude, I'm gonna make you a host in case you have anything
Thank
that you
you.
take
In case I
over.
wanna- in case I want to kick people out for not participating in the conversation.
That's right.
Super. Well, David,
Cool.
thanks so much. Thanks so much for the intro, man. Thank you for being a customer. It's been you're a pretty good customer because you actually have a team that knows what they're doing, and that's like 50% of the requirement of doing PPC in the first place. You know, like Liam's here actually with us too, Liam Benson, and Liam is like a sales psychology follow-up wizard that we're fortunate to have on our team. And Liam will tell you, like, Liam turns people down every day. He's like, dude, no, you don't have the team yet for doing PPC. Like, don't do it. He was just turned down somebody yesterday on our live show, because that's if you're a newbie and you're loaded, you got like, you know, daddy's money or whatever. You got, I don't know where you get money. You're selling drugs and you're low. I don't care. You got a bunch of money.
Yeah.
You can do PPC and you can succeed, and you're gonna succeed much faster because you're gonna have a lot of those conversations quicker, right? But if your marketing budget's limited, you got to make some money first, and you got to get the skill up to where you actually can close stuff before you can do PPC, right? Now, I want to ask you guys, and I know some of you might be driving. If you're driving, make sure that you don't text into the chat box. But if you're not driving, or you're in a passenger seat, or hopefully you're in the back of your Maybach, make sure you just post up in the chat right now. Where are you? Like, are you running ads or not? So just put yes if you're running ads, and no if you're not running any kind of ads on digital. And when I mean PPC, Google ads, Facebook ads, right? You're trying to get your, let's count SEO, like search engine optimization. Let's count that in, because to me, it's also a digital source of leads, right? So that kind of counts. I want to see where the audience is in terms of, you know, are you running ads? Are you totally new to it? Are you already doing it? Maybe you're getting leads on iSpeedToLead. Maybe you're doing some of your own stuff. Are you running your own ads or not? So I see some comments. I appreciate that. Let's see. Sterling is very much running ads. Sterling is doing a great job. He's done very good Facebook ads. Yes, no, not currently, but I have before. A lot of outbound. No, yes, no. Okay, so more no's than yeses at this point. So that's cool. All right. And what I wanted to do, the way I wanted to set this call up today, is that we're going to go through a framework. Richard McRae is doing iSpeedToLead. Boom, appreciate you. The way we're going to do this is we're going to go through a framework, the way I see PPC, right? So there's a few steps that are extremely important in getting successful with putting marketing dollars into digital, okay? So we're going to go through that quick framework, and then depending on what you have in your process that's either not working right now, or what you have in your process that's that you want to know more about, we can dive into some specific parts of this process, parts of the framework that you can actually participate in a conversation in, right? So, and it's a very fancy sheet that I made. It's probably worth like $1 million, because we spend, just so you know, if you don't know who I am, we spend about $20,000 per day. And if people could mute themselves, if you would be so kind as to mute yourself if you're not muted, because I am hearing a couple folks. Actually, I'm a mute y'all for
Yeah,
you.
you can move.
There we go. Mute. I just muted Dan. Dan, I just muted you. All right, cool. There we go. So if you don't know who I am, we run about, we spend about 25 grand per day on PPC, okay? So about 10 grand of that is for iSpeedToLead, for iSpeedToLead. It fluctuates between 10 to 15 grand, depending on what day of the week it is. And then the other 10, 15 grand we spend on our customers' campaigns that we manage, right? So David's campaign, for example, we've managed for a long time. For certain teams, we actually take them on as customers and manage their own ad spend. And so we've been doing that for iSpeedToLead.com. We've been doing for the past year and a half. That started year and a half from zero to now you already know, like it's crazy. There's thousands of members, there's all this crazy stuff. And even before that, we were managing ads, right? So most probably in the whole industry, we're definitely outspending everybody by ad spend. But we also like to think that we've gained the most wisdom in the space, in the PPC space, when it comes to wholesaling real estate investing. So as far as that goes, you're in good hands. And I don't have a podcast, I don't have a YouTube channel, right? Like we've got a YouTube show, but we work so freaking much, like for content is not much. So if you get to catch me talk about PPC, it's pretty rare event, right? So ask away, whatever questions you got. I'm not going to try to sell you anything. I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm here to share with a good friend of mine, David, audience, stuff I know, okay? So number one, right? So this framework, and I don't know, is it mirrored or not? Because if it's mirrored, I'll just read it, okay? But if it's not mirrored, is it mirrored or is it not?
I can't see it. Too
Can't
small.
see. Running a $20 million company, and I've got this $1 million paper. But anyway, so number one, and I'll go through these just so you kind of understand how many we're going through. So number one step is going to be, why even bother with PPC, right? In general. Number two is going to be your website. Then we're going to talk about the actual ads. Then we're going to talk about the targeting. Then we're going to talk about the optimization. Then we're going to talk about scaling. Then we're going to talk about defending, right? And I'll explain to you what that is. And then we're going to talk about analyzing trends, right? So each one of these steps is basically what you're going to have to go through from 0 to $10,000 per day. You're going to have to go through every single one of these steps because I had to go through them, right? So number one, why even bother with PPC? Okay. Now, some of you already know this, some of you don't, but PPC is literally the only way where you can skip a whole bunch of steps in figuring out how to cold call, how to process massive amounts of data, how to process massive amounts of texts, and you can get leads to come to you, right? There is an initial investment of time or energy or hiring an agency to do it, but you can skip, the way I see it, is you can skip a whole bunch of work and use your money to work for you instead of using your time and energy and a whole bunch of staff. Because PPC is the most expensive lead source out of all of them when you're talking about cost per lead, right? So it's, you know, if you're in Dallas, if you're in Phoenix, and you're learning a local Google Ads campaign, which is Google Ads is generally the most high intent, it's going to be about $400 per lead that you're going to spend in that local market, right? If you're in Dallas. So, you know, SMS leads are cheaper than that, but the conversation is very different, right? With the SMS, you're reaching out to them, they're now reaching out to you. So the tables are a little bit turned when it's PPC. But if you've got money and you want to move quickly, PPC is a way for you to deploy money instead of deploying time. And if you've got money, you understand why that's valuable. If you don't have money yet, you might not understand why that's valuable, right? It's super fucking valuable. Like, dude, it's crazy valuable. I was trying to save $1,000 today because I was going to buy this used watch. Okay. I live near Switzerland. I live 20 minutes away from Switzerland, and I fucking drove a half hour like a dumbass to save $1,000 to get this watch cheaper. Okay. I should have just gone to the fucking store because the guy didn't show up. Okay. I would have saved, I wasted 3 hours on this thing. Dude, I could have made like $2-3 grand in 3 hours. Right. So when your per hour income is like getting up there, you really start caring about time. And PPC is one way to just shave a whole bunch of time off of your effort, right? But and if you've got any questions as we go along, just post them up. That way you don't forget what your question was, and then we're gonna answer that. Liam says, David, right-click Gene and pin him for everybody. There we go. Mandy's asking good questions. We'll get to all of them questions. Super. Okay, so that's the number one reason to go with PPC, right? Why even bother? the other reason that I would mention is that if everybody's doing SMS and everybody's doing cold calling, and you can bet that most of the people in your market are doing these outbound tactics. And if you're anything like me, or if you're a student of strategy, student of management, you're always looking out for what Warren Buffett calls a lasting competitive advantage, okay? So a durable competitive advantage. So if everybody of your competitors, 99% of your competitors are using SMS and outbound, and you happily run around and you jump into that pool and like, hey, I'm also going to do SMS and outbound. And now you're competing for the same real estate inside your prospects, inside your sellers, text message conversations, right? All of this stuff. And you're just one of the other guys, okay? Now, doing PPC is a little bit harder in the beginning. It's a little bit riskier. It's a little bit more cost prohibitive. It's got, hey, if you ask around in any of those groups, it's PPC is actually probably, let me mute a bunch of people. Let me mute, mic check. Sorry guys that we're having to pause, but we're having to pause because we have to mute people that are coming in. There we go. Okay, cool. Now we're good. Spotlight for everyone. What is spotlight? I don't know what spotlight is. Anyway, but if you're now competing with everybody inside the SMS and cold calling space, all you're doing is you're just another wholesaler that's calling that seller that day, because every one of y'all is buying the same lists generally, right? Now, if you want a competitive advantage over others, and you want to jump into the 2% of people, 2% of wholesalers, you're going to do stuff like PPC. You're going to do stuff like SEO, because then when the seller is Googling, sell my house, they're going to see you. They're going to see your company name. They're going to see your number. They might call you. They might fill it out. But you're now at the top of the page, because that's where the ads show up. And you're instantly not competing with the other 99 guys that's in that person's messenger on their SMS. So in terms of competitive advantage, PPC also gives you a way that's cost prohibitive for others to join, because there's a setup piece. With Facebook, there's a design piece, and you have to be decent at design. With Google, there's a copywriting piece, there's a website piece, because you have to have a high converting site. And so most people are just way too lazy to start doing that, right? It's a lot easier to go and cold call. Well, you know, with some caveats there, because it's actually kind of, you know, you have to have some guts to actually pick up the phone and start cold calling people. SMS, why did SMS blow up? It's because SMS is so easy. You don't even have to. SMS is like perfect for 21st century. You don't have to have any direct communication with the seller. It's super like, you know, digital, and you can start talking to people right away, right? But it's easy for everybody, right? So if it's easy for everybody, everybody's doing it. PPC is a little bit harder in the beginning, but then you're the only one, or one of the few, that's playing on that field. And with that, we get to the next step, right? So why even bother with PPC in general? The first step that you're going to need for it is you're going to need some kind of website, okay? And for that, once again, if you're anything like me, you're going to be like, all right, well, we need a website. Okay, so if we want our website to be our competitive advantage, that means we gotta, so many people are jumping into this. I have to mute everybody. If you're, you know, now that you moved on from, all right, I'm going to get a competitive advantage with PPC, I'm going to start doing it, and that's going to give me an edge over 90% of other people. So my odds are now improved, right? Now with a website, you also have an opportunity to have competitive advantage over others, okay? And now you're like, okay, shit, I could just go and get Investor Carrot, okay? Or I could just go get one of these burner sites and use it out of box and be done in 5 minutes, right? And I'm not shitting on Investor Carrot, which you'll see why in a second, because you're going to look for like the easiest route to take, okay? And because you're here on the David Olds podcast, on the David Olds live stream, and you get to have me in the audience, I'm going to basically save you from making a bunch of those dumbass mistakes that most people make. Okay. So when you're going to go for the easy route with the website, you're going to go, oh, hey, shit, Investor Care, I can use it out of box, or whatever it is, like Minute Pages, I can use that out of box. And just, you know, plug in, pay the $50. Oh my God, it's so cheap. And then start, you know, now that my website is solved, I can move on to other. Shit, how do we make it so everybody's muted? Just
There's got to be a way to
I think there is a way.
mute everybody.
Ask all of them. Oh, look at that. I just did it. Mute all upon entry.
There you
Bam.
go.
Perfect. Okay, super. So now it was supposed to work. So when I mute everybody, that means nobody unmute. Mute all upon entry, lock meeting. Okay, I think we're good now. Cool. Nobody unmute themselves, please. But if you want your website to be a competitive advantage, right? Even though you're playing on a smaller playing field now, you're only playing in the 5% of people that actually bother with a website, that actually bother with PPC. Right? You're already doing better. Your odds are already better. Your poker strategy at the table is already better, right? Or at the blackjack table is already better. You can expect to have higher odds of winning. Okay. But now you actually have another opportunity with the website. And even if you take that out of box carrot or out of box whatever that you've got, and you do certain things to it to optimize conversion rate of that website. And this conversion rate optimization stuff, this stuff is like so available. I'm not even going to bother telling you what you should do to optimize your conversion rate on your site. Because if you're going to be doing it yourself, then just Google, how do I optimize my landing page for conversions? Boom, you're going to get like a bunch of great advice, right? It's super easy to do, right? Add a bunch of testimonials. If your testimonies are live with pictures and you holding the seller like this, or it's a video of you talking to them, boom, your conversions are going to go up. If you have 9 or 10 of those testimonials, I don't care if they're your relatives, boom, your now conversion rate is bumping up like every, a few percentage points with every freaking testimonial. Similar stuff with, those pop-ups in the corner that say, hey, somebody just entered a form on the site. Great, right? There's a whole bunch of ways to optimize the conversions on the website, but the main thing is actually doing it, right? So you see here, I've got all these steps to running PPC, right? And here you see I've got a line. You have to optimize and increase your odds at every single step. That's the only way you're going to get to be the best at it. Okay. It's actually a really simple framework. It's just, you got to go through, I had to go through a bunch of it, right? Some of it I learned through coaching, but I had to go through a bunch of it to even figure out, especially these bottom parts, when you start to get to like 5,000 per day, 10,000 per day, that shit, like barely even anyone is even coaching that stuff. Sam Ovens is like the only guy that's spending that much money, but his stuff has nothing to do with real estate. So we had to figure out a whole bunch of this out on our own, right? So when it comes to this first step of doing anything with PPC, getting your website, don't just get some out-of-box solution. You actually can improve your odds by a ton by actually applying some effort and improving your conversion rate of that website, right? Conversion rate of that website, the speed of that website. But if you hire somebody on, what is it called? Twitter, Tinder, Fiverr. If you hire somebody on Fiverr for $100 and you have no idea, like I talked to so many people, Dave, that do that. And I used to be on sales calls for our stuff and they're like, well, we kind of want you to use our site because we just paid $500 for it. Yeah. I'm like, we will probably not use your site because 99% of the site sucks, especially if you paid that little, right? So
you've got it's some just generic ass site that they built for the masses, and it's just not built for what we're doing, right? It's like, taking your Pinto down there to street race against a bunch of Ferraris. It's not going to work.
Yeah, exactly. Liam says we should hire off of Tinder. Liam, I have your boy, back when I was single, I got banned on Tinder because I was advertising something on there. I was trying to sell some shit on Tinder, man.
Oh yeah, the single guy. That's the guy.
Actually, no, it was a crazy story, man. On Tinder, so you swipe right and left, right? And I was like, I was an entrepreneur. Like I quit my job at IBM, and then I went to Storytime. This is worth it.
Yeah.
Uh,
We need a whole podcast on this, because then we're going to bring on Corey Geary one day and let him tell some stories.
Dude,
Because I know he's got them all.
it's crazy. I was on Tinder, and I was just became single, because like when you go the entrepreneur route and you end up losing all of your career and money and all that shit, that you find out who if people want to be with you or not, which is cool.
Right.
But I was single, right? And I'm like this marketer, right? I'm like, I'm the greatest marketer in the world, right? And I fucking do this thing on Tinder. I'm like, all right, how do let me get a bunch of matches. Like, this is just really slow. Like, I'm not like a Brad Pitt looking guy. I'm like, I gotta work hard at this. And I don't have any fucking money either. So I'm
Yeah.
really good. So what I did was, like, because you swipe right or left on Tinder,
Yeah.
I made this image in Canva or something, and I put a basketball hoop on one side of the image, and I put a basketball on the other side, and I wrote down below, "Fucking drag the ball into the hoop." And bro, I got like 200 matches in like an hour, and girls were like, "This is brilliant. This is crazy. This is great."
Great.
And Tinder banned me for like forever. And I think when they banned, I tried to get it back like a couple months after that. And dude, once Tinder bans you, like I don't think they ever unban you, whatever.
They've got you tracked down.
Yeah.
That's great though. I love that.
But shit, that should work. I think I might still have that image somewhere. I gotta frame it and not tell my wife what it means. But anyway, so now with the website, right? So you see, I optimized my Tinder's conversion rate like by a lot by doing that. Okay, because I didn't use the out of box functionality. I figured out how to improve it. Right? Anything out of box, especially something like Carrot, they have like thousands of users, thousands of members. They don't got time to optimize all that stuff. It's going to be, out of box. It's going to work, but it's going to work lackluster. It's not going to give you any competitive advantage. It's just going to be there, right? You lost the opportunity of improving your odds at winning the game, at winning in wholesaling, because you ignored the opportunity to optimize that site. And sometimes you got to pick and choose which things you're going to try to be competitive at. You can skip the website step, but your odds are going to be worse. Okay. Now, the next step, after you've got your website figured out, okay, and it's performing pretty good, and you've tested it and all that stuff, maybe you used your Carrot and you customized it, or you did something else. So let's say you hired us and we actually provide landing pages. So selfish plug. We provide landing pages for our customers that are already stupid duper optimized. So you don't have to worry about that if you're a customer of ours. But so now we're jumping into ads, okay? So the actual ads, the thing that the seller is going to see on internet when they're browsing Facebook, when they're browsing Twitter. We're trying to figure out everything about Twitter right now, because I think it's going to get a lot more popular. I just have some belief in Elon Musk, and so the Google ad that they're going to see, right? They Google something and they see those black and blue lines. Actually, they look a little bit different now on the new iPhone. But they see those ads, the sponsored things, what that's supposed to look like, right? And this part on Google, it's going to be all copywriting. On Facebook, it's going to be all design and a little bit of copywriting, okay? Because on Google, you don't see anything else. It's just the freaking black and blue text. So if you suck at copywriting, you're probably better off either stealing someone else's ads and the way they look, or you're probably better off hiring somebody to do it, okay? And on Facebook, if you are not a designer, if you can't do great designs, because that's the piece that catches. I often say that with Facebook ads, you're competing with brands like Coca-Cola, and you're competing with all these other, whatever that person gets targeted, right? It's mostly older people that most of our customers make money from, like people with a lot of equity and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so you're competing with a whole bunch of stuff, like competing with other ads that are very, very professional, right? And you might get away with like a crappy looking ad, but Facebook actually wants it to be aesthetic. And so if you're not a great designer, you're probably gonna have to hire that piece out, right? I've made ads. I used to make my own ads. They do a lot better once we hired a designer, right? Just very, very simple, okay? But once again, there's a huge competitive advantage that's hidden here, more so on the Facebook side, because the Google ads part, you can find some good ads in very competitive markets and copy the way they look, the way their text looks, and kind of, you know, change it around a little bit. But with Facebook, with the designs, it's hard to have something nicely designed where the design conveys professionalism, and the design of that banner conveys that you're an actual serious company that takes themselves seriously. You don't put out shitty designs, and the designs look good. We went as far as like hiring an actual artist that drew something with like her hand.
Oh, really?
For our design for, yeah, there's, I don't know if you've ever seen that ad of this house that's like flying and it's
Yeah,
spinning.
I have it. Use it for us.
Yeah, so like that ad, like I found this girl in a coffee shop, she was drawing, and I was like, oh my God, this is great. Like, do you ever do ads? She's like, yeah, I do ads. And I told her the idea and all that stuff. It's like actually hand drawn, and then she digitized it or whatever.
Mhm.
But that's the piece, right? So huge competitive advantage potential, because most people in wholesaling, most of their banners are kind of crappy, okay? So if you got a good designer, okay, you can really stand out for and convey confidence to the seller, okay? And the other thing about the visual ads, they've got to be a little bit congruent with what your landing page is, right? So this whole thing kind of builds one on another, and there is a thread of congruency that
Right.
runs through all of these, that's got to do with your branding, right? So if your branding is like, you know, green tree offer on your landing page, and everything's green and all these green designs, but then your ads are all red, you're already gonna subconsciously, in the seller's mind, they're gonna think like something is wrong here, something is not congruent. You know, so they're already gonna feel a little bit tricked, even though it's just a fucking color and it doesn't matter. They're already not going to be excited about as excited about it as if it was congruent, right? And then, like I said, with Google ads, by the way, post your questions, because I know there might be a lot of questions in this part. With your ads, is just decent copywriting, good copywriting. I would say Google is much less about what that ad is, because you can only do so well with 3 lines of text, right? You can only, all you got to do is basically not do anything stupid. But with Google, it's a lot more about the next step that we're going to jump into, okay? And that's the targeting, okay? So targeting, and optimization, right? And when I was writing these, I was actually like, which one do I put first? Do I put optimization first? Do I put targeting first? These are kind of like the same thing, but they alternate, right? Because you're probably going to play more with your targeting than anything else, okay? Especially on Google. So on Google, targeting means what keywords am I going to target, okay? Because you have so much to choose from. If you are somebody that's also got a brokerage, right, and you're wholesaling, and you also can take down listings, and you love both, and you got to shop for both, you can just run ads to keywords like sell my house, right? But if you're wholesaling, sell my house is going to suck, because you're going to get everybody, right? Right now, I think the amount of homes that sell for cash is right around 10%. You know, sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more. It's growing, right? It's growing, it's grown. And I think that's awesome. And I think we're on the right side of the industry, because the homes that sell without iBuyers, without wholesalers, are actually on the decline, even though it's slow. We're actually on the other side of that. But if you're wholesaling, you're going to need to get pretty creative with keywords. You're going to need like a couple hundred keywords that all describe all kinds of different situations that your seller might be in, right? So, you know, the obvious stuff like sell my house fast, sell my house quick, and all that stuff. And there's like all these other scenarios, right? Like avoid foreclosure, stop foreclosure, and stuff like that. And that's the way the targeting happens on Google. But in Google also, there's a bunch of cool stuff. Like you can target by age, you can target all these different things. But on Google, it's going to be basically mostly keywords. And here, like the thing to do is not to expect any breakthrough from any one single keyword or ad or targeting group. they're all gonna have like marginal improvements over each other, but I would never go into this game. I used to, but now I don't. Don't go into this Google or Facebook ads game expecting some kind of crazy home run from one specific campaign. It's usually small incremental improvements that you're going to make in your targeting, in your optimization, right? Now, the big thing, and with Facebook, you can't target by keyword. There you have to target by interest. But with both of these platforms, where you got to understand, and I think this is like almost like a reward that's hidden for people that start advertising and start PPC, because you got to go through some steps here. You got to do the website, you got to do the ads, you got to do all the shit, you got to start targeting, and then you're like, fuck, this is a lot of work. But then good stuff starts to happen, because once you start spending money, whether it's on Facebook or on Google, if all your stuff is set up, like there's some technical stuff, like the conversion event and all that stuff, your website has to track the conversions, and there's guides for all of that on YouTube, right? But on the YouTube University, but like, what happens when you start spending some money and actually start getting some leads? And when your website is good, and when your ads are good, you're gonna get leads. You're gonna start getting leads if you're doing this stuff. The more leads you get, the better this shit actually gets, because both Google and Facebook are huge on artificial intelligence and machine learning, and every single click, every single lead that happens on your campaign, as long as it's the same campaign or the same pixel or the same conversion event, same website, every single click contributes to the education of where the next click should come from. Okay, so if you spend $5,000 and your competitor has only spent $100, you're already going to get better leads than they are. Okay, you're like, we could probably sell our company just for the fucking pixels, because we've spent so much money that have gone through these pixels, gone through these campaigns, and now they're like supercharged versus a campaign that would be just starting out. Okay, and that's a hidden benefit that you got to understand, and you can read more about it, how it works. I'm giving you the high level, but that's something that when I was teaching courses on ads, I think I've done like 6 or 7 master classes, like they were like full-on boot camps with people, and I don't do them anymore now. But that was like the biggest lesson. It always took me like 3 hours to get it through people that this thing self-optimizes with time, and sometimes all you got to do is just let it like optimize itself for a little bit. But every time I would underestimate how much that shit actually optimizes itself, it always surprised me with how much more smart it is than I thought it is. This artificial intellect that's optimizing ads on your behalf. As long as you give it the right things, you give it good designs, which is what the Facebook algorithm wants, because it's actually going to score the design, and it's going to score that post against your competitors. And if your design score is higher, it's not called design score, but there's a scoring mechanism. In fact, if you ever go to Facebook and you paste, there's like a tool online. It happened before. It happened a few years ago when Facebook like went dark and all the images couldn't load. I don't know if you remember this, but this happened for like a day. Everything on Facebook was just like every picture was like a blank screen, right? It was just blank. But on the picture, it had the fucking metadata that Facebook actually puts on them. And that's when everybody realized that Facebook actually scans every picture. So if it was a picture of me, right, it would say a dude with a red shirt and a hat. It actually scanned the contents of the picture. If there was a baby there, it would scan that shit. And this was like years ago. So imagine how much more advanced that shit is now. I'm convinced that when RJ Bates is on our TikTok story, the fucking thing, even if we don't say that it's RJ Bates and we don't tag him, I'm convinced that the fucking thing has a face reading thing and it knows that it's him. And that's why those posts do better. Stuff like that, right? So your design, if it's crappy, Facebook kind of knows, right? So you're almost talking to like an intelligent human being here when you're dealing with these ad platforms. Yeah. And at some point you learn to treat them as such, and they reward you back if you understand that that's how they work. right? So targeting and optimization, you know, you're gonna obviously A/B test a lot of stuff. You're gonna try different designs, different types of ad copy, different types of targeting, different keywords. There's on Google, there's a bunch of bidding strategies that are kind of fun to play with. There's, you know, you can choose all kinds of different bidding strategies and stuff. But you know, it takes time. It takes shit. It took me before I ever hired a first person. And that's where we're gonna get to next. I'm pretty good with these transitions. They come kind of naturally. But where we're gonna go to next is the scaling part of it, right? And if you notice here in the scaling, I had to put hiring right there next to it, because this is when you can start hiring people, is when you've got a model that works, that pumps out leads, you've proven that the designs work, you've proven that the conversions work, you've proven that you've tried to A/B test some stuff, you've tried to A/B test some designs, you were disciplined in actually paying attention to the results, changing only one thing at a time, because then you can actually see what thing helped you, right? So there's a little bit of time component with A/B tests. And we used to suck at this. We used to do like 3 tests at a time, and then we're like, oh shit, something worked. Well, what? Right? So you gotta you make one change, design only, don't change the copy, or change the copy, don't change the design, right? On your Facebook ads. So it does take a little bit of time. But if I'm telling you about this, right, and you're like, oh my God, this sounds so fucking exciting, I want to become like good at it. You should, because it's fun, right? Some people, I obviously don't. Maybe at this point, I probably understand those people, because like what I do now has almost nothing to do with ads. It has more to do with like managing people and setting their goals and targets and all that stuff, and managing victories and crises. Has very little to do with ads at this point. I just still love this stuff. But like, if it doesn't sound like fun to you, it's probably not going to be fun, because it's a lot of fucking work. But to me, it sounded fun. I wanted to be the guy that can like influence people to click, to like give their information. It seemed exciting to me. I think from when I was a kid, I had something in me, right? And so that's when you get to the scaling piece, right? Once you got a model, that's when you should scale. How do you scale? You got to hire people. That's just, once you got something that's working, hire people. If you don't want to do any of this, you should be hiring right here. You should be hiring somebody, you know, and you can do a few things. You can hire someone full-time. You cannot skimp on how cheap or expensive they're going to be, because anyone that's good at this stuff is making money. Anyone that's good at this stuff is making bucks. And that's why I think like hiring an agency might actually be cheaper, because you get them for a fraction of their time, right? They don't need
leverage, right? I mean, you get a team that's expertly trained by you, or, you know, by whoever it is, and has experience and has already taken all of the arrows in the back. Like, they've already figured it out. They've done the testing, they've done all of that stuff, you know, no different than our transactions company, where they have figured out how to solve all the problems. And you get that experience for, you know, next to nothing. Same thing with like a fractional CFO. That's why these things are becoming important, because people realize that in order to grow and scale, you know, you need to be able to suck that instant experience into your business today, you know, and that's what gives you that competitive advantage.
Yeah. It's you know, the hiring piece, I wish I started doing it earlier, but I wasn't hiring to like outsource it. I was hiring just to multiplicate myself, and hopefully get some other better ideas in the process too, right? But like Dave said, it's leverage if you hire it early. If you try to hire me when I was like doing all this stuff myself, I was already making pretty good money. So my salary, I would probably say no to a salary, number one, because I was like, no, I'm not going to work for another boss for a while at least. And so, but anyone that's like really, really good at this, and that's who you want, getting them on a salary is going to be difficult. You're going to pay them like $250,000, and they're still not going to be super duper happy with it. So with an agency, you get super smart people for, you know, fraction of their time. You don't get the full 40 hours a week, but they don't need 40 hours a week to run good shit for you, right? Especially if they're focused on just wholesaling, right? And there's only a few of those. Okay, so now that you're in the hiring piece and you've hired somebody for your designs, or you've hired somebody for your Facebook, you hired somebody for your Google, or our agency does both, right? So we're a pretty good option. We're fairly decent option, not the worst one. And so once you've hired, right, that's when you get to what I couldn't find a better word, but defending. Okay, so now you've got a few people in your ads organization, and you've got a person that's running Google, you've got a person that's running Facebook, you've got a person that's doing the designs, maybe you got somebody who's doing the copywriting, maybe someone that's doing A/B testing, maybe that's someone that's doing YouTube ads and all that stuff. Now you're dealing with like huge amounts of data. Now you're dealing with a business continuity issue where if any one of those lead sources goes down, you're gonna notice it, because you probably have people that are waiting for leads. You probably have like staff that's like, hey, where the leads at? And so now you got to think about stuff like upgrading your servers, getting on dedicated servers for your website, right? Not just buying shared hosting, but buying better server space. Right now, we're migrating our shit to Amazon Web Services. iSpeedToLead.com is already on web services, but we're also migrating all the customer websites onto Amazon Web Services too, because it's just like less downtime, right? Then all these different lead sources, you're going to be basically the manager of that dashboard of lead sources. So you got this thing is spending this much and bringing in this many leads. This is the cost per lead here. You're going to be the manager of these different platforms, and you got to make sure that number one, the whole thing doesn't fall down from a stupid thing like a web hosting provider having some issue, and now you're all completely screwed, and you're losing money because you don't have the business continuity, or from one of these ad platforms screwing you, because one of these ad platforms can screw you too, right? Your cost per lead can shoot up from something that's not even beyond your control, right? Or like crazy shit that can happen. Like we had somebody, I think, mistype a little value into Facebook, and it spent like 15 grand in like an hour or some shit like that. We did get it back from them, but like another issue we had with Facebook is one of our people was in Europe, the person that was running the ads, and Facebook started charging us this tax, this European, I think it's called VAT.
Yeah,
the VAT.
value added tax. No.
Holy shit, when you do a lot of ad spend, you spend a lot of VAT. It was like, man, I forget what it was exactly, but it was like a sales tax. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And we spent shit. So we're still trying to get it back. We noticed it fairly quick, but it's 30 grand. 30 fucking grand that Facebook is just like, nope, we can't give it to you because your page was registered in wherever. They give me like some address in Ireland, so I'm having an attorney call this Ireland, because that's where they're headquartered because of the tax. They're headquartered
because of no taxes, right?
The fucking taxes in Ireland, but they charge me a fucking VAT tax for my business in America.
It's nutty.
My business in Delaware. So it's totally stupid, but that's when you're going to notice more. They're fun problems to deal with, completely different level of problems, but that defense of your business and of your processes, right, is definitely fun point to be at, and that's where the people are doing the work, and you're kind of just understanding what framework is happening there. And then also at the last here, I have trend analysis, right? So trend analysis is like, you can't run all the same fucking ads all the time, especially when the markets are changing and all that stuff, right? Yeah. So it was a really cool point a couple months ago when the scales were just tipping, when the market just started turning, because we actually made ads that was like a little mountain, and it was like a graph that was like, hey, this shit started going down. We are here. We're still not far here from the top. So this is, if you were thinking about selling, you better do it now, because otherwise you're gonna be fucked, right? So that trend analysis, the one thing I would say about that is if you're trying to do this advertising stuff, is you gotta not be in the ads. If you're doing the ads all the time, you're doing the hands-on stuff all the time, it's gonna be very, very hard for you to manage to watch the trends and watch all that stuff, right? So you know, maybe do it on a Sunday. There's a trick that actually Ty Lopez, I learned this trick from. He was saying, like, if you want to get perspective, like perspective on your business, on your life, like a third person's view perspective, you should travel somewhere like at least 100 miles away, a different city, and just chill there. Because, like, I don't know if you know this guy, Alan Watts, who's like this philosopher. He was saying that, like, when you travel somewhere, you get there first, but your soul doesn't catch up to you yet. So you're kind of there,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
but
I get
all your
that.
bullshit is still in the way.
Right. Well, that's
So
true, right? Because when you travel, just, you know, people call it different things like, oh, I need time to decompress or whatever it is, right? Yeah, you're not all there. That's an interesting way of thinking about it.
yeah, I always think about it when I'm on the plane. I'm like, oh shit, I gotta use these few hours because, like,
Yeah.
then I'm gonna feel like myself again. Like, let's see what it feels like to be, you know, to take a break from myself. Or actually,
Right.
I used to smoke pot. I don't anymore, but like now if I ever smoke pot, this probably happens like twice a year now. I get a
Yeah.
third person perspective on myself because I'm like, I'm having like a third person trip basically because
Oh, really?
I don't do it anymore. So that's another way to analyze it. But when you're in, the point is, when you're in the weeds, when you're doing the ads, when you're doing the designs and all that stuff, it's a little bit hard to zoom out and analyze the industry. So you gotta trick yourself. If you're a solopreneur, and I feel for you because I was that for a while. You gotta trick yourself. You gotta know, go like drive away somewhere, or take a day where you're just analyzing everything. You forget about your day to day. You become kind of almost like two people. You become the manager and the employee,
Yeah.
and you do that, right? But that's literally all that there is to building your ads from zero to $10,000-$20,000 per day in ad spend, right? We only do about $25,000 per day in ad spend. So when we're doing $100,000 per day in ad spend, when we're spending that much, I will give you an update as to what's below this, because I'm sure there's shit below that too.
Sure. Well, that was all the stuff that I looked at, and you know, Corey, who's on here, is the man, and he understands it. But you know, I tell people my squirrel brain just could not. You know, I knew I couldn't. Listen, that's not true. I can figure out anything, but did I want to dedicate the time to that? Because we run a big, successful, high-speed wholesaling company, right? We run a big transactions company. You know, we have coaching. You know, we've got the oil and gas. We've got all these businesses. So, you know, was that something that I could dedicate the time to? And you know, for me, it was absolutely not. And you know, even if I was just starting out, you know, at the beginning of my career where I was doing a couple deals a month, you know, if I'm doing all of that shit, Gene, who the fuck is running my company? Right?
Yeah.
Because that's just one thing. Then there's, you know, there's, you know, acquisitions and marketing and transaction. I mean, there's so many things, which is why, you know, the smart people realize, the successful companies realize that outsourcing is the only way to do this, right? Because I can hire you for, you know, 25% of what it would cost me to bring somebody into my own company.
And you kind of get 10 people with me,
Yeah.
because like there's all these other brains
Right.
that are working with it. Yeah, it's I can't imagine how much shit there is in wholesaling. I'm actually a wholesaler that didn't work out.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I was I don't remember I was doing. No, I do remember. I had a video business before. I was doing like ads and stuff. I
Yeah.
had
You're doing videos for realtors and stuff, right?
Yeah, I was like doing like a video, you know, it was a good business. I was like one of the first guys that was flying drones commercially in our city. But
Good little hustle.
I went to a Chris Root mastermind. I went to I bought his coaching because I was trying to get another stream of income, because
Yeah.
the video thing is like it's always up and down.
Right.
It's not recurring or anything. Well, not that wholesaling is recurring, right?
Yeah.
Unless you're hustling all the time. And so I was like, dude, when I found out what it is, I'm like, wow, that sounds like so much work. I'm like, shit, but I can already advertise. I already know how to do that. Let me try to just advertise for these guys. Yeah, I
Yeah.
went to a couple of appointments with Wholesale. I'm like, dude, such a big learning curve. I have no competitive advantage here. It's going to take years to develop any competitive advantage in this thing. Let me stick to my guns and what I know.
Mhm.
So I've still never done like a deal. I've never signed a contract.
Really?
Never done none of that. Not one. I'm probably, yeah. And I
I'll let you
get,
borrow some of the 1,500 that I've done.
dude, I get, not I, but our company gets, a lot more JV checks
Mhm.
every month than many wholesaling companies do non-JV.
Yeah.
We've never done a fucking wholesale deal ourselves. It's crazy.
Awesome. You know, I had somebody ask me this morning, because I get a million Facebook messages and Instagram and all that shit, and I try to answer them all. But somebody asked me, who does your funnels, like click funnels and all that shit? I'm like, or he asked me, do I do them? I'm like, absolutely not. Because again, that's a whole nother thing, right? Is learning. I'm like, and I literally typed this. I'm like, dude, I outsource everything. And I felt so stupid as I'm typing that. Like, how is this guy who's successful? You know, but I don't know how to do anything. I can't even fix my printer. You know, I'm having that problem with my Mac, and I'm on the verge of paying someone like $500 an hour to come in here and just fix it. And I've got stuff stored, and yeah, I've got pictures stored on my Mac, and they need to come off and go to a hard drive. And I've spent like 3 hours working on it. I'm like, fuck this. I'll just hire someone to come in and do it. But yeah, you know, you just can't do it all. It's impossible. If you think that, if that's your plan, you're not going to grow and be successful. If you just want to do 1 or 2 deals a month, yeah, you can be on that plan, but not to grow. It's impossible.
So let's see what questions some folks have posted up. Let me see what we got.
So Matt's got one. Do you layer on audiences or in-market audiences to help with targeting? And I don't know if that was in reference to Facebook.
So we actually don't do that much with the Google audiences anymore, because we found a couple that work really well. I think one of them is like avid readers and pet lovers or something like that. So we just basically we tested a few audiences, and I don't know if layer on audiences, I think you probably mean Facebook, right, Matt? See, I'm even like, the lingo is not even, because like we have so many people that are actually doing the thing, and it's not me doing the thing anymore. But Google in-market audiences for like real estate, yeah. So we did do them for a while. We tested for a while what works better. I think at this point we've just got like a chosen one that's doing the best, and we just stuck with that one. And I think we use it on most ad sets at this point to answer your questions. But we did use them when we were testing a whole bunch of stuff, like what's going to work better. It's like a marginal improvement, but you can probably get like a 10% improvement in the cost per lead using one audiences versus another. My biggest advice here is not even like, oh, hey, here, use this audience. That shit might change or whatever. The biggest thing is like testing discipline, A/B testing discipline. Like, set that shit up. One campaign is doing this, one campaign is doing that. Basically same campaigns, but they're different shit. And then don't fucking touch it for a week. Like you won't believe how hard it is for most people and myself. Don't touch the test. Like, don't contaminate the test, because then you're not gonna know it's contaminated. It's just like in science. You gotta stick, like, you gotta have specific test parameters for the test to be executed well, and the sample shouldn't be contaminated. And that's the biggest advice with any of these things. But you can literally, like, you can improve your odds of winning with Google with so many things. If you've ever done Google ads, there's so many fucking variables in there. There's bidding strategies. Then there's those in-market audiences. There's the genders. I think the genders you can't do with real estate anymore, I believe, and the age also you can't really do. Even though with Google you can go behind the whole age requirement thing in a way. You can dispute the fact that they marked your ads as real estate as a restricted category. But like, there's just so many settings in Google, and each one can bring you value. But don't expect any one of those to be like a home run. Understand that, like, good copy, good website, decent keywords, at least decent negative keywords are what's going to make the bulk of this work. Like, you're going to get livable cost per lead there if you're going to be doing this yourself. And then once it's livable, that's when you can go and tinker with the little fucking things to improve your odds, right? Dude, I recently like fell in love with video poker. Okay. I don't have it in me to go and fucking sit at the table with the guys. I don't know why. I'm just not like, I've just never done it. So I'm already like 33 and I've never fucking played poker at a table, except when it was like at my friend's house with friends, but at like a casino, I've just never fucking done it. I've never even like had any buddies that was doing it. I don't even know like what are you supposed to do. But video poker,
Lose money, that's what you do.
video poker, I fucking love it because like I can figure this shit out. I can literally remember. I went to video poker. I was like, all right, let me go to take a piss and let me read the fucking strategies while I'm taking the piss. I'm gonna read this shit. Oh shit. Okay, low pair is actually like better than a high card, right? Sick. I'm gonna keep those. Improving your odds a little bit. The more non-winning hand combinations and their sequence, which one has priority in video poker, you can remember, the better you're gonna do. You can basically nearly have a perfect strategy, and then it's just you need a little bit of luck versus you have a shitty strategy and you need a lot of luck to win, right? So like you're trying your luck, right? Here with Google, same fucking thing. So many settings, you can test so many of them to improve your odds by a little bit, but you almost got like, there should be a school for testing discipline because it's so hard to tinker with one thing, tinker with another thing at the same time, and then not know which one of them helped you and not get any wisdom from that test. That's a huge, I hope I just saved somebody a lot of headache if they're going to be trying that.
Yeah, and it's hard, man, when because we've been with you since, in fact, I've got my thing up here, beginning of September of 2022 or 2021, I guess it was. Anyways, we've tweaked our markets and things as we've gone along. And, we would change our markets, but we wouldn't change the daily spend at the same time, which is hard, right? Because we all want to do things so fast because that's entrepreneurial. That's our mindset is let's get shit done. Let's do it as fast as fucking possible. And, in reality with this, especially Google, like Google and Facebook are really funny. They don't love rapid change. So one thing at a time, let it go for, 10 days. Okay, now we'll do the next thing. We want to make sure, as we're growing and scaling, right? Every time we get a plateau, we stabilize. Then we change, stabilize. You just don't want to be doing too much at one time. So no, that's good advice.
Yeah. And then, the other thing that, if you, there's the couple of ways that we do it, right? We mentioned the agency model. You can go and hire an agency, but you can also do, and I think at this point we have to start mentioning it as like almost basically an alternative to the agency model is the iSpeedToLead thing. Because now you basically, it's a new thing. It didn't exist before.
Yeah.
But now you can literally, we're already generating the leads up front and you can go and get pre-generated leads. So it's very different from the agency model, even though the costs are very similar. The costs are very, very comparable with iSpeedToLead.com and with hiring an agency. So, in Phoenix and Dallas and like in high expensive places, it's probably actually cheaper to get leads on iSpeedToLead than to get them with your own ads. Even if you're experienced for like a year or two, you're still going to be more expensive than us. Because once again, we've got the engine to freaking generate the leads with the best cost possible out of anybody. So we can still make some money and afford to not charge crazy prices for leads. And by the way, since we're on David's thing, if you're not on iSpeedToLead.com,
a little code, I'll show them here in a second. And here's the thing that I love about iSpeed. I would be shocked if the 40 people on here don't know what it is, but it gives you the a la carte option of just going out and buying one lead. So we have pretty decent ad spend on in our pay-per-click accounts that Gene runs. But you're always going to get some wackadoodles that are going to click your stuff and put in nonsense, right? I don't know really how you stop a wholesaler who doesn't know any better, who thinks you're going to be a real cash buyer, putting their deal on there, or, somebody, who wants $10 million for their $100,000 house. what I love about iSpeed is it's so brilliant that you can log in, sort by state, and actually just look at the lead and the seller's motivation. So you know it's a real lead. So literally you're just paying for just exactly one lead that's exactly what you want. I mean, I think it's absolutely brilliant that you guys have done that for the industry, and that's why you're just blowing up. So no,
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's been fun. It was like it felt like we had to do it, because it's like, all right, how do you get better than the agency model for people that can't afford the agency, or people that, like, because most people don't even, still, we live in this century, but like most people still haven't tried PPC leads and what they're like. Now they're like, all right, I can actually go and try an inbound without having this marriage to an agency. And then you can marry the agency also, right? After you try it. But it was a cool model to get people to get product that comes out of inbound campaigns, inbound leads, without having to do a crazy amount of work, or without hiring an agency. Because like I realize hiring an agency is like hard, because like how do you trust somebody that they're going to produce, right? It's easy for people that know you, who you can recommend. Most people ask like, hey, who runs your PPC? And they're like, nobody, I don't run PPC, right?
So let's talk about that, because so one of the advantages I have, I've done this for 20 years, and I feel like I know almost all the players in the industry, and we've been on stage, we get to go to these, we get to go to a lot of things. And there are a lot of people that sell shit, right? And I'm going to say there's some shit out there. You know, again, not everything is for everybody, but, you know, we've used some services that were going to provide leads to us. And, you know, here's the thing, the owners of some of these companies are such great salespeople. I wish I was as good a salesperson as some of these guys, but the product that they're selling is it's just not great. And, you know, by the time you've sunk, you know, $12,000, $18,000, $24,000 into something, you're stuck. Like that's 24,000 that's gone. And, you know, the particular company that I'm thinking of, I'm not going to call them out because that's not cool. But, you know, I've known a ton of large wholesale companies that have gone there, you know, because they've been sucked in just like me, because I was that guy of, oh, this is going to be great. It's going to be a great additional lead source, even, you know, in addition to our PPC. And it turned out to be absolutely crap. And those companies, you see them churn through clients like crazy. Churn through, like people go there, they're there for a month or two, get some results, and then by month 3, they're like, oh, this sucks. This isn't what I thought it was, or the service goes way down. And, you know, one of the reasons that we've been with you guys for 14 months now is because the service has been there all the way along. And, you know, the quality and the results have been very consistent across the board. So, you know, that's a testament to you and your team and everybody over there.
Nice. That's awesome. That's amazing to hear, because that's what we fucking wake up for. So that's great.
Yeah. So I think Mandy earlier, she had asked about what is the average PPC cost to contract. So Mandy, that's going to depend. The better question is, what's the cost for me? What's my cost per lead of, you know, what am I saying this right, Gene? Well, what's the cost per lead, right? And we have tracked it. Again, that's one of the things that I've tracked since the very beginning, and we've stayed incredibly consistent over the course of, in fact, because I'm looking at my sheets now, since September 1st of 2021, our average, but blended between Facebook and Google, has been $86 per lead. Now, again, you know, that's a blended from, like, in the beginning, we started at $150 a day up to like $600 a day now. So, but right now we're running, as of the last 2 weeks, we ran $70 cost per lead. The 2-week period before that was 64. The 2-week period before that was 50, 65, 71. So we've stayed in a very consistent, you know, cost per lead. And there's always going to be a little fluctuation up and down, right? Weird things are happening in the market, you know.
And I want to remind you that it was higher.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. The more we spent, the cheaper it got.
Yeah. It was, that's crazy. Those are amazing numbers.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's, dude, I just track it. I don't do any of the hard work.
It's a testament to keeping your shit running. Like, you gotta keep you got to stay in the game with this PPC stuff.
Yeah.
And it does get better over time. Like that's
Right.
the crazy part about it.
Yeah, and especially right now, and for those of you guys that are wholesaling, you know, I was online with one of my one-on-one coaching guys today, and you know, I talked to him and I explained to him, like, listen, like right now, what's happening in the market, because I've been through two market shifts like this before. Today, it seems like it's the end of the world, and human nature is, oh my God, this is crazy. I need to get out of wholesaling, or I need to turn off my ads. I need to just wait until it gets better. Well, that's like, you know, people saying I'm only going to buy at the bottom of the market. The truth is, the people who are going to succeed and come out of this, you know, whatever transition that we're in, are going to be the people that were in the trenches every day, you know, fighting. We picked up an $80,000 wholesale deal that came off of PPC the other day because we're in there, we've got our ads running, we're talking to people. There are still sellers who are losing sleep right this minute over their property, right? They are going online and, you know, Google searching, you know, how to sell my house quick in Jacksonville, Florida, to find somebody that can help them. So, I mean, and just think about this for 1 second. If at the top of the market, we were getting a ton of leads, what do you think is going to happen as the market starts to decline?
Yeah. Oh,
Holy
yeah.
shit, dude. Like we're heading into, you know, an amazing time to be a wholesaler. You got to fight through right now. I'm just here to tell you, right? But the good news is there's a lot of fucking nitwits that are going to quit right now, which is great for the people who are serious. You know, the people on a Thursday night at 8:15 are sitting here trying to learn about PPC.
I don't even know what day it is.
Yeah, dude, it's like, what is it? Like, you're what, 6 hours ahead of us?
Every day.
You're 6, right? So it's 2:15 in the morning for you. So man, thank you for hanging out so late with us. But
I actually have my clock on my laptop is set to US time.
oh, really?
It's very helpful because if I was looking at the 1:16 a.m. thing,
Oh,
it's
you're
a lot
5
worse.
hours. Yeah.
It's a lot worse than 8:16 p.m. This doesn't feel like, and it feels like it's 8 p.m.
Yeah.
If I realize like, oh shit, it's almost 2 o'clock, and like, no.
So a couple questions. People have messaged me, a couple things. So you guys take on a lot of clients. So you see a lot of people who are already maybe running their own campaigns or trying to run them. You know, and I know you don't deal with them all yourself so much anymore. But what do you think is like the biggest mistake that people who come to you, the mistake that they were making that was easy for you guys to correct? You know, something that you could implement, you know, when they came on board to, you know, to help them quickly.
People that were already running stuff.
Yeah, they were like me, just trying to bumblefuck my way through some shit and had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah, it's got to do with their landing page, but it's not the landing page itself. Now, usually the landing page sucks quite a bit, but when you change the landing page to something else, even if you like get a much better page, what you got to understand is that you also got to, like, that whatever the new landing page is, let's say you get one from somebody that you paid $10,000 to, like somebody really good, but they're good at landing pages, they're not good at Google ads, and that's very often the case. Now you're going to need to understand what is the text on that landing page, and certain things on the landing page, the copy and stuff like that. You're going to have to, there's going to have to be congruence in your actual Google text ads, in the text on your Google ads, congruence between that and the keyword, and between the keyword and what's on the landing page, right? So there should not be just like one thread of congruence. There should be maybe like multiple threads that are happening. So because Google actually, like, and you'll see it inside of Google ads, like they score your ad based on how congruent it is with the rest of your marketing, with the rest of the website, and with all the other shit. So the landing page is very often a very, very big point, and what sucks is that most people don't even know what works. Like most people are like, oh shit, this looks beautiful, but a lot of beautiful landing pages kind of suck at converting,
right?
Because they don't do the right thing. And then you look at someone like Investor Lift, stupid ass simple page, fucking great results with it, right? Like great conversion rate. So like most people don't understand what is actually needed for it. But that's probably one of the most common things, is like changing your landing page to be a good one. And that's what we hired like 3 different agencies. We're an agency. We hired 3 different agencies to give us opinions on how shit should be done. Because like, yeah, I'll drop a couple $1,000 on an agency to consult us.
Yeah.
And they'll give like a few good ideas, but now we've improved the landing page by 2%.
Yeah.
And that's better for all the customers. It's better for all the speed to lead, cost per lead. It's great.
Wow, that's amazing. Did you see today, it may have happened too late, you might not have caught it. Meta, Facebook announced something that they weren't going to do, or maybe it was Google, I don't know. Something about similar audiences. Oh, that was Google, because I was in my Google Ads account looking at some stuff. They said they're going to do away with the similar audiences thing in Google.
With the lookalike audiences?
Maybe that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like, I'm actually curious if it's Google or Facebook. Anytime like, so I can't call myself like a veteran of this thing, right? Because I've only been doing this for maybe like 6 years.
Yeah.
But I've been doing it in like 80, 100 hour per week years, right? So maybe we can almost double that.
Yeah.
But anytime there's something like that, the biggest one was probably when Facebook ads decided that all ads that have to do with real estate are now have to be restricted. You can't use age as targeting anymore, and you have to target. You have to carpet bomb everybody, right? You have to from 18 to 65 plus. Everybody has to get your ad, because we don't want to discriminate, right? We want to do that. And then also it has to be a 15-mile radius minimum. You can't, pinpoint anything or nothing less than 50 miles. You have everybody worried about it. There were so many people like, I was in Dubai at the time, and I was like, I was trying to like do some more fun shit. And I was like, all right, let's make some more money. And let's see what people need. And then I'm like, all right, people need this right now. Like, people are freaking out. Let me make a little course about it. I mean, like a mini course on how to dodge Facebook's thing.
Yeah.
And it's all bullshit, because like none of it actually affected much of our stuff, but a lot of people got scared and stopped advertising. So that was cool. Whoever's running ads right now for that, including us, we're gonna adapt to whatever those changes are, because there's other changes with Google's strengthening their policies around duplicate content. So like some investor carrot pages and stuff like that might or might not get affected, because there's a lot of duplicate content on them. They all look the same.
Yeah.
But it may come to fruition, it may not. As long as you're in the game, you're doing the stuff, you might have like a 1 week that you don't have a great week, but then you'll adapt to any of these changes that they make. They've got huge customer bases. All their revenue is advertising revenue. So they're not stupid to just cut off their revenue. It's usually actually for the better, because when they cut off when they took away their realtor targeting, their algorithm actually got stronger. So now the algorithm is doing the targeting for you to the right age, instead of you having to set it. It's still going to deliver it to the right people. They're not stupid. They're not going to show irrelevant ads when they've got a machine learning thing that knows more about you than you know yourself. They're not dumb. So I don't worry too much about all those things.
All right, cool. Well, that's one thing that's a constant is there's always change, right? I mean, constantly, just everything is being tweaked from, what's funny is, I've been doing this for 20 years, and dude, when we started, marketing was bandit signs, door knocking, and postcards. That was it, and now there's, all of these different things, and, cold calling got real popular. Now it's, you could still do it, but there are getting to be more restrictions, way tighter restrictions on SMS and RVMs, man. You're just rolling the dice with those. So it's interesting to see how over time all of these things just change and shift. But ultimately, marketing is marketing. It's just our method of deliverability, which is changing, and that's where you have to adapt.
Yeah, man. And I can't wait for new stuff. Like, I can't wait to list some new stuff. Like, I'm excited about the Twitter thing. The Twitter thing's going to have some opportunities.
Yeah, I think Twitter's going to change. I don't think it's going to change like everybody thinks, because he's going to be beholden to advertisers at the end of the day. And they don't want to be on in a place where it's just a crazy free for all.
I have this crazy thought that you know, Elon Musk is a fucking hardware guy.
Yeah.
I mean, look at this guy.
Mhm.
Everything's hardware. Yeah, there's software there too, but like everything's got a hardware component.
Mhm.
I'm very interested in how this whole Twitter thing by Elon Musk, if they don't cancel him or like do something crazy, doesn't happen to him, right? Because again, way too influential. And so I wonder how it's going to affect mobile phones in general.
Yeah.
Him buying Twitter, because he's such a hardware guy and he can influence hardware. Like, look, that was the first car that does software updates and updates itself. Now, like a bunch of cars do that.
Oh, I got one. I know. Yeah, I don't think Twitter's that great. I just don't understand $44 billion for Twitter. I mean, it's all right. I go there to get some sports news, you know, but
I think it's a one up on Jeff Bezos' Washington Post.
maybe. I mean, I don't understand the fascination of wanting to spend that much money on it, but we'll see, man. I mean, he's fucking richer than me, so we'll see what he's
gonna
got.
buy. What else are you gonna buy when you go?
I know, right? Well, yeah, you just start looking for crazy things. You know, he's trying to go to Mars. So, well, cool, guys. We've been at this for, geez, an hour and a half, man. I know we've kept Gene up super late. Does anybody have any other questions before we shut this down? Anybody want to unmute
David,
themselves?
what's your code on iSpeed?
Oh, hang on. I'll put it up here. I've got yeah, thank you for reminding me. I've got share screen. Oh, there it is. Yeah, if you guys want to QR code that and use the discount code DISPO-REI, that'll get you $50 off of your first lead. Yeah, man, we send
It's actually even better now, David. It's not just their first lead. It's like it just puts $50 on their balance when they use this code. Yeah, so you log in and you see that balance already there.
Oh, okay, cool.
Just make sure you use that link for the sign up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you can scan. I had to learn how to generate it. So let me tell you how bad I am in my business. I had to message one of my girls. I forgot to do it till 5 o'clock. I'm like, can you build it? Can you give me a QR code? They're like, oh, I'm on a car. I'm like, shit. I had to Google how to make a QR code. I had to figure that out today for myself. That's why it is what it is.
Well, at least one of us has some kind of slides.
Yeah, man. Listen, dude, you had something. You got to have a framework of what you're doing. So I've seen a lot of fucking shitty information with some beautiful slides. So having good information trumps slides every day of the week. So
well,
dude,
I hope this was a little bit helpful to those who watched it, to those who's going to play it back. Yeah. I appreciate the time with you, like always, man. I can't wait till we see each other in person.
I know. When's the next time you're coming back over?
We're closing on a property on the 15th, so I'm pumped because I'm gonna fucking do a world tour after that. Yeah. I was just worried that, like, I don't want to leave my wife and our daughter in an Airbnb that we're renting. So we finally got a place here in Italy, and like we're now I can fucking fuck off and get out there again.
Yeah, we're gonna be doing a ton of events next year for the transactions company, so I'm sure we'll be at a bunch of those together.
Nice. Yeah. That's awesome.
Cool, man. Again, thank you so much I know it's late there and you're working hard. You need to go home to your wife and baby. And but yeah, man, thank you so much for coming on and sharing just a ton of knowledge with us. So
thank you for having me.
All right, everybody. Appreciate you coming by. See ya.
See you soon.